Hello, dear grown-up reader of Will It Be Okay, or listener too. Thank you for experiencing my book as either something that you listen to or perhaps read out loud to your children or grandchildren, or perhaps read to yourself. A lot of people are telling me they are finding this a soothing book in these kind of very unsettling times. But whatever led you to read it in whichever fashion or to listen to it, thank you. And I just want to say I'm a big fan of reading out loud. I was read out loud to when I was a child, and it's a very different experience than the experience of reading to yourself and getting lost in a book that way. I also adore the silent reading to oneself. But reading out loud, it's transactional, it's back and forth. As Martin Buber said, it's I, thou. That moment when your grandchild or niece or nephew or child is on your lap and there's that physical connection. But you can also stop and talk about things like the wonderful pictures, and when the little girl looks mad in Jessica's Love's illustrations, she looks really mad. You know, you can stop and talk and notice, or you can just flow with the story all the way through. I love reading out loud so much that my husband and I read out loud most nights. He actually prefers to read out loud than to be read to. And it took him a while to come around to this being a thing that, as grown-ups, that we would really enjoy. Because of course it's much more efficient and effective. If you just want the content of the book, fastest way to get it is just to read it silently and quickly to yourself. It's a different and more dimensional experience when you read out loud. You can pause and comment on how the writer did something, or in the case of a picture book, the illustrator, or say to your whoever you're reading out loud to. Mark and I might say, did that ever happen to you? What do you think about, we can stop and pause or repeat a line that, there's a line in a Charles Portis novel that we read recently that now every so often Mark will say, I don't know who he is, but I just sold him $50 worth of bait, which is a line in that book that really amused us both for no discernible reason. So I am very devoted to reading out loud. My late father used to read out loud to me when I was little. He was a terrific reader out loud. My mother as well. I finally was forced to learn to read when my mother would not read A Secret Garden out loud to me for the third consecutive time. She read it twice. So I forced myself to learn. So all of those are little thoughts about the pleasure of reading out loud. It's very low tech. The books are physical. The person with you, you have, if it's a child, of course, you're sitting with them. Maybe you're in physical touch. Mark and I are in two sort of reclinery chairs across from each other, reading, and I'm watching his face. And, I watch it when he laughs or when he's, in his expression. And he always wants to know if he read it well that night, which he always does. We read a Civil War novel, The Killer Angels, recently, and he, as the reader out loud, quietly on his own, read biographies of the various Confederate and Union generals, so he could answer any questions that came up for me. Now that's going above and beyond, and I'm not saying that all of you should do that, but I'm just saying those are some of the things that reading out loud opens to. It's much more interactive and sensual than watching a Netflix. I mean, I love to watch stuff on, there's a lot of good television around now, but reading out loud is just a special thing that outlasts a lot else. And my father has been gone since 1992, but I can still hear him reading out loud to me if he had a kind of a growly voice, and I can still hear that. And I can hear when he put on his not very good British accent to read the novels of Evelyn Waugh to me. And, I remember it with great joy. And your children will remember you reading them too. But while you're still here, you will also carry that experience for you. It's a little bit of a ramble, but there you have it. I'm a rambly person. And it also leads to my writing books like that. It's observing, thinking, rambling, wondering. So there you have it. Thank you for hanging out with me. Bye.